Today we're talking about Glass.
What? That is not the intro. That is so half-assed.
All right, well, give it a little more spice.
Just cooking with spices now? Put some paprika in it?
I used paprika earlier today.
Brent, it is a sad day. This is our final episode that we are recording on M. Night Shyamalan because we've already recorded our old episode. So this is us saying goodbye.
I don't want to say goodbye to M. Night.
No, I want to hold on to him.
I've grown to care about the little fella.
We've gone through a lot with him. A lot of ups and downs.
I definitely feel like I've grown as he did.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, we are talking Glass today, though. So before we get into all this stuff, I guess I should introduce the show so that people know what they're listening to. What do you say?
Yeah, let them know the title.
Great. Welcome to Film School Dropouts, everyone. A movie podcast in which each season we cover a director's full filmography.
This was a long one.
This is 14 fucking movies. But yeah, this is our penultimate episode on the filmography of M. Night Shyamalan. This whole season was Brent's pick, and we rounded it out. We're coming down on it.
This was my pick. You know, I chose M. Night for a reason because I knew that we would have these peaks and valleys.
Yes, it was a great point. Great choice on your point.
But yeah, today we're talking about Glass. Before we get into Glass, do you want to talk about a little movie that you've seen recently?
Yeah, we kind of blew our load recording like before the episode because you and I just talked a lot about new movies, like for a good 10 or 15 minutes just now, just talking about, all kinds of new stuff. But I've got one that I didn't bring up. If you want to let me take the lead here, I'll talk about a little movie that I've watched recently.
Let me hear it.
That new Joaquin Phoenix. Come on.
Oh, okay. How was it?
The new film by Mike Mills, who did 20th Century Women and Beginners. He teamed up with Joaquin Phoenix and made a black and white dramedy, I guess you could call it.
That sounds about right for Joaquin.
Yeah. This is Joaquin in a mode that I'm so happy he's in because, he just won the Oscar for Joker. And I'm like, wonder what he's going to do next. He just won a fucking Oscar for a big comic book movie, Yeah,
I mean, he can pretty much pick and choose. It's Joaquin Phoenix.
And he's always been able to essentially pick and choose, but he's just a weird guy and whatever. We've talked about him before. But he chose to follow that up with a really tiny little indie movie called Come On about a documentary filmmaker traveling around with his nephew and just sort of teaching him about life. And it's really charming. I really enjoyed it.
I'm trying to look this up on IMDb and it's not coming up.
Well, I mean, it exists. I saw it in theaters.
Wow. Interesting.
But it's good. It's really cute. I think it might be a little, I don't know what the word is. There are times when I'm watching that movie and I'm like, all right, man, let's keep it moving. It kind of slows down a little bit here and there, and it's already a slow movie, but man, oh man, Joaquin and the kid in it have such good chemistry, and it's very, very cute and fun. And it's, I've described it as it felt like someone rubbed a soothing ointment all over my heart. It just made me feel good.
Okay. Well, that sounds lovely.
Yeah. Sounds Joaquin, come on.
Yeah. I mean, he can't do
he's so good in it.
He's so I've said this all throughout the first season. I'm going to just rehash it again. Tier 1 actors, the cream of the crop. That's Joaquin Phoenix, Leo, and to me, Christian Bale.
Sure.
But I think back in season 1, you were kind of on the fence about Leo because he's not putting out enough.
He just doesn't work that much.
Oh, well, I guess that'll be tested if that changes anything when his new movie, Don't Look Up, comes out pretty soon.
I mean, it's already out.
Well, yeah, for I guess on Netflix, but yeah. So come on, and that's by director Mike Mills.
Yeah.
What else has he done?
I already said it. He did 20th Century Women and Beginners.
Beginners, right?
Thumbsucker.
Okay, you did always say that. I was looking up. Come on.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Good movie. Joaquin Phoenix being a sweetheart. We don't get to see it very often, but he's really sweet and soft in it. It's nice.
I like that.
Yeah,
it kind of like what is it? Her.
Yes, he's kind of playing in that zone. It's a lot less theatrical because he's just like a normal guy and he's not falling in love with an AI, but it's good.
Sweet. I do like that version of Joaquin. So
love him. What do you got for me?
We've both seen this movie. I wanted to bring it up on the show by director Ronaldo Marcus Green. It's King Richard. It's Will Smith.
We did. We did. briefly text about it.
Just a little bit, but I wanted to talk about it on the podcast because I freaking love this movie.
Did you?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of the year.
It is such a crowd pleaser, this movie.
I think I think it's up there for Will Smith performances too. I hope he gets a nom. I doubt he will because the Academy doesn't really show him too much love. But
he's
he
pretty good in it. Yeah.
He was so freaking good in this movie, like spot on the whole way. It's a long movie.
It is long.
If you don't know, it's about, he plays the father of Venus and Serena Williams, tennis all-time greats, well, all-time athletic greats. But yeah, he's just like, he's so spot on and so good in this role. I just hope he gets enough attention for it. I had a blast by the third act. I couldn't stop smiling.
Fantastic. The third act of that movie, like the first and second act, very by the books kind of biopic stuff, but it's all very well done. It's not like boring. I think the third act of King Richard, as soon as it kind of focuses a little bit more on Venus, things starts cooking with gas.
Takes
I like
off.
it. I'll you know what I'll say. There's a point in the movie where John Bernthal shows up, and I'm like, here we go, and it was a delight.
Yeah, I saw a post that you didn't know he's all over the trailers. I was really surprised.
I hadn't really seen any promotion for it. I didn't really look into it too much. I just sort of threw it on when it came out, and I didn't know Bernthal was in it. And then all of a sudden, Bernthal was in it, and I'm like, well, here we go. Bump this up half a star. It's Bernthal.
Yeah, no, he's great.
I really enjoyed King Richard.
Yeah, I just hope it gets enough attention because I had a blast. Literally, I walked out of the movies like I always put Remember the Titans on this threshold for sports movies, and like there was a time there when I was like, oh, this is one of the best sports movies I've ever seen. I just had a freaking blast.
I'll say this as not a sports fan. I think tennis might be one of the most cinematic sports ever. If you can nail a good tennis match in a movie, the movie becomes so exciting. I remember there was this movie called Borg vs. McEnroe that came out starring Shia LaBeouf. Yes. And it was just like a movie about, like, I don't know, John McEnroe like facing off against that one Icelandic dude or whatever. And like the movie was thrilling. It was so thrilling because like the tennis was just back and forth, and you're just like, oh yes, it's such a fun sport to watch.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole one-on-one aspect to it.
Absolutely.
Tennis is just fun. It's like one of my favorite to play. It's one of my favorite to watch because like the top tier, like I remember in high school, I was on the tennis team, and we were at a tournament, and I got to see like the number one. Every state has the number one, and you got to see the number one in Michigan, and he was like head and shoulders above everyone else as far as skill wise. Like he's dribbling the ball like between his legs, like with his racket, and it's just tennis is awesome. I'm always famous tennis, but I'm even like, man, it was just a really good job done by Will Smith. And I also heard that when they decided to release it on HBO Max, I think it was, and that meant the two girls, Venus, that portray Venus and Serena, they weren't going to get their appropriate wages, and Will Smith ended up paying them. So,
well, yeah, that's been a whole mess with the whole direct to streaming. I'm glad they're not doing that next year. They're after this year they're going back to theaters only. So that's good.
Is that true?
Mm-hmm, yep.
Oh, love hearing that.
Yeah, and they just recently reinforced it. Warner Bros. Saying like, nope, we're sticking to it. We're not going to go straight to streaming. I think there's probably going to be like a 30-day window or something like that. But
what that makes me think of? Buy AMC stock right now.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Brent just turning this into a fucking shareholder podcast.
Well, at its low point,
bye.
It was $2.75, and at the beginning of the year, I told my cousins, I was like, this will be above 40 by the end of the year, and I think it had a high of 55.
Maybe I'll buy some stock for the first time in my life.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
There we go. You'll owe it to Brent when you're a millionaire. All right. You want to talk Glass? Want to get into round out this trilogy?
Yeah, let's round it out.
All right.
My bones break easily. I've had 94 breaks in my life.
But you have an extraordinary IQ.
This is not a cartoon. This is the real world.
No way.
And yet, some of us still don't die with bullets. Some of us can still bend steel. I've been waiting for the world to see that we exist. May I meet the beast?
I hope for your sake that he likes you.
That sounds like the bad guys teaming up. A lot of people are going to die.
Don't do this.
Are you ready?
What do we call you, sir?
First name, Mr. Last name, Glass.
Glass. When did you see Glass first?
Ooh, bit of a rough spot, you know. I actually remember talking to you when at the end of Split, and you were all jacked up because, this was back at our good old days at Applebee's. But I ended up seeing it in the theater when it came out with my ex at the time. And I went, obviously, because I was such a fan of Unbreakable. I was already pumped, and I thought Split was good. So I was very excited. It was I sat down and I was like, this could be awesome. Or I also, we've experienced some bombs by M. Night, so you kind of want to tamper the expectations a little bit. But yeah, I went and saw it and I was like,
okay.
Yeah.
Very, very lukewarm reception on your end.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. And I think in the back of my head, I tried to pump it up a little better. Like maybe, no, it was better, build it up a little bit.
I've been there. Yep.
Yeah.
Trying to convince yourself you like it more than you actually do.
That's I had a notorious experience when I did that with Dragon Ball Evolution till about
Brent, come on.
Yeah, about a year later, I was like, no, I can't. I have to stop lying to myself.
You gotta get out of that one. That's rough.
Yeah, well, I was just such a fan of the material that I tried to,
I get it.
You said, build it up. But yeah, so this is my second time seeing it. When did you first see it? You also saw it in theaters.
Yeah, opening. I actually had a pretty cool. No, that was for Vice. Never mind, that was a different movie. But Glass, I did see Glass by myself. Opening night, same as you. I was going in pretty fucking stoked. And I think this is my third time watching Glass. Okay. I watched it once it came out on Blu-ray, and this movie's grown on me for sure. Because when I first saw it, I liked it, but I was just like, that is an interesting way to end a trilogy, I guess. And then, I watched it again and had the same, but this time I watched it and just like fully let it wash over me. And I it's not a perfect movie. It is a fascinating one, though. I think this movie's really interesting and it's doing weird shit that we can get into for sure. But it's a weird swing.
It is. There are, like, even after finishing up this time, I was thinking to myself, like, well, that's not how movies are supposed to end.
You're not supposed to do movies like this.
But maybe movies aren't supposed to be so cookie cutter, and they're not supposed to be so. So that's
why this movie's interesting.
The second showing did make me think outside the box. Also because I knew what was coming, and I didn't. Yeah. But we'll get into that.
This movie, I'm actually gonna go with a weird sports metaphor to sort of describe how I feel about this movie. Okay. This movie's imagine, right? It's the World Series, final game of the World Series, right?
This is gonna be a rough analogy.
Here we go, folks. Brent immediately can sense the weakness in my analogy. All right. It's the final game of the World Series. You just sent your star hitter out, and he knocks it out of the park, and he gets you a home run, right? And that's unbreakable. It's big, exciting. He nails it. And then later in the game, you send out like a lesser known, like maybe like a rookie or something like that. And he comes out and he's not really known for hitting home runs. And it's like one of those technical home runs where like he doesn't actually hit it into the stands, but he still is able to get the home run for whatever reason. You're like, oh,
inside the park home run.
Yeah, very cute. In the park home run. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, sweet, we're doing this. And then Glass is you bring out just like a standard player. And he comes up and you're like, oh, here we go. This is he's set up for the grand slam. What's going to happen? It's going to be big. Everyone's waiting. The anticipation is just through the roof. And he bunts it and it like dribbles a little bit and he gets like just like onto first base. And you're like, oh, I guess that's good. Yeah. Okay, cool. Like
We'll always take runners on base.
Exactly. And you're just sort of like, oh, he did a bunt. Okay. I didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be much bigger.
Sure. Well, you got there. I mean, it makes sense. We'll take that analogy.
I think I did a good sports analogy.
Good as a stretch, but it was fine. It was fine.
Oh no.
I do want to talk because this movie made $247 million, I believe, on a $20 million budget. So this is a smash as far as production goes.
Of course.
I think it's his. So let's just recap real quick. Unbreakable had a $75 million budget, and it made $248 million.
Yep.
So that obviously that was a huge one. Critics didn't like that one for some reason, but the audience loved it.
At the time, I think Unbreakable was seen as a bit of a sophomore slump. I think it didn't make as much money as The Sixth Sense. Right. It wasn't as groundbreaking as The Sixth Sense. It was sort of like, oh, okay, sure. Like that was okay. But like, it has definitely garnered a bit of a cult status since then.
Because, coming on the heels of Sixth Sense, everyone's...
I know. What are you going to do?
Well, I mean, what Sixth Sense was coming on the heels of what's the Rosie O'Donnell one?
Wide Awake. Can't even remember the fucking name of the movie.
No.
That's funny.
Split grossed $278.5 million on only a $9 million budget,
right out of M. Night's pocket.
That's huge. Like that is money for days.
Yep.
So, and then, like I said, Glass was $247 million in a $20 million budget.
But I think
he's making these movies so efficiently at this point.
He is. Like, I think he has firmly found his budget range that works for him, because he knows if I spend $70 million to make a movie, might not make that much money back. But if I spend $20 million to make a movie, I'll probably make that back pretty easily. That's what he does with Old. That's what it sounds like his new movie is going to be. It's his new
Visit. He did that. Yep. Like he's at this. This is what I call effective filmmaking right here.
Absolutely. And I love the idea that he figured it out. I think that he has had a moment where he's like, you know what? I'm not a $100 million filmmaker. I'm a $10 million filmmaker. And like, he fucking is killing it in this zone.
Love that.
But I do think Glass had a bit of a rocky reception when it came out. I don't think people really loved it that much. And
so that's the thing. Like I said, there was a $20 million production budget, but I think they spent $80 million on marketing.
Did they really?
Yeah. So that
movie was marketed like through. I remember that.
Yeah, that's it's whatever. He's not making it up. It's still in the positive by quite a bit. So, it had critics didn't like this, 36% critic review, audience 67%. I think I lean a little bit more towards the audience side, maybe somewhere in the middle, but for the most part, 37. I mean, critics.
That's brutal,
right?
I don't know. You want to talk about it now?
Yeah. So we've pretty much talked about everyone in cast already.
Yeah, the only newcomer is your favorite actress on the planet.
Oh God. I did not.
Why do you hate her so much?
I don't. You know what it was? I think it's because I hated her role so much in American Horror Story season 3.
We're talking about Sarah Paulson, by the way, folks.
It's Sarah Paulson. Yeah.
Yes.
She is on my list of ones I do not care to watch for.
I think early. I've brought this up, but when I proposed the punch list, I think Paulson was pretty high up on your punch in the face list.
Real high.
You really hate her.
Like cement in the top 5 for a while.
Wow.
But there was a cooling period where I was like, okay, I was turning a little bit, but then on my Mount Rushmore movies, it's One Flew of the Cuckoo's Nest. Yeah. And one of those characters is Nurse Ratched. So
yes, of course, and they thought, let's give her a whole miniseries or whatever.
Right. Stupid. And it's Sarah Paulson, and the character is just destroyed by her. Like any positive feelings I had towards Sarah Paulson were instantly thrown right back down. So that's how I feel
Sarah
about
Paulson.
Her. Oh man,
I don't have strong opinions of Sarah Paulson one way or the other. I generally, when she shows up on screen, I'm like, oh yeah, she's good, whatever. I do not have this vitriol that you have for her.
I think this movie was part of her push for a little bit. I feel like she was getting a decent push. I think it was like maybe Ocean's 8.
Oh, is she in that? Yeah.
There's anyway, but I'm just hoping
plays the doctor in this.
Yeah,
she plays honestly a very Nurse Ratched role in this movie.
A better Nurse Ratched than the character that was supposed to be Nurse Ratched in the
So
series.
you're saying she's doing a better Nurse Ratched in this movie than she did playing Nurse Ratched in Ratchet.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
Well,
I did not see
like,
Ratchet.
Nurse Ratched doesn't cry. Like, she's stone cold badass. And like in the first episode alone, Sarah Paulson cries at least 3 times. I was like, I can't do this.
Wow, what a complete and total punk ass little wussy.
Like, that's not my Nurse Ratched. Maybe she turns into her over the course of the time, but no, I don't have
what a
no.
TV show. So anyways, let's talk about
Sure.
Okay, so glass. The movie starts. This movie has like 3 acts that are pretty like clearly
Hashtag
defined.
not my Ratchet.
This movie has like 3 very clear acts, and the first of which is essentially Bruce Willis is back. He's David Dunn, and he's walking around town, and he works at like a security place, right?
Yeah, his natural progression of his character, David Dunn from Unbreakable, he is now adopted owns and operates a security agency with his son. So
it's like a store that sells like cameras and shit and alarms.
I don't know what they sell. At one point, they talk about taking inventory.
Yep. Not sure what that is.
No.
But David Dunn's back on the streets because he knows the horde is out there, so he's going around playing touchy-feely with people, trying to see into their visions. And
I mean, this movie takes place 3 weeks after the events in Split.
Oh, okay. Is it that soon after?
Yeah,
okay.
It's because they are. This is when they start tracking him a little bit. But by the look of his son's notes, this has kind of been an ongoing operation for the last, how long has it been since Unbreakable? 10, 15 years?
15 years, yeah. So I think they have been, but like this is like the newest big thing that they're on, is trying to catch the horde. But yeah, the son is essentially playing the Oracle role, sitting back at the computer, and he's this eye in the sky, if you will. Yep. Yes. And Spencer Treat Clark from Unbreakable reprises his role. So that's kind of cool that they got him back. Like
I love that.
You don't
and
really
and honestly, he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't bad.
He was pretty good
for that long of hiatus. I was like, oh, I love that.
He seems really excited to be in the movie.
There is besides like the 3 main characters of Bruce Willis is David Dunn, James McAvoy's The Horde, and Samuel L. Jackson's Mr. Glass. There are the 3 returning characters from each of kind of
it's like they each get to bring
sides.
A supporting character with them,
right.
Which is weird, but sure.
You got Anya Taylor-Joy as Casey Cook from Split.
She's back. Yep. Spencer Treat Clark is playing the son. He's back.
Joseph Dunn.
Yep.
I'm not Mr. Glass's mom.
Yes, Mr. Glass's mom.
Yeah, I apologize to the actress.
Mr. Glass's mom.
Yeah,
Charlene Woodard.
Okay.
Yeah. She played Mr. Glass's mom in Unbreakable.
I will say, out of all 3 of those, like you see Mr. Glass's mom in like older makeup at the end of Unbreakable.
Yes.
And this is 15 years later.
Right. So it's like, how is she still alive?
How does she look the exact same?
Like, and Mr. Glass looks like a corpse. Looks like
I get it, black don't crack, but come on.
I know.
Jeez.
The movie's weird, but like actually the movie opens with someone getting Superman punched in the face, which is weird.
Which honestly, it freaked me out a little bit because it reminded me of Rick Moranis getting punched on the street.
Oh, right. Is that what happened?
Well, I have a theory. The world took a downward turn and started getting like substantially worse in real life when Rick Moranis retired.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
And he announced that he was actually going to come back and do and I was like, oh my, like this is
and he immediately got punched in the face.
Right.
Poor
and
guy.
I was just like, oh man. So
I remember that when everyone was like, how could you punch Rick Moranis in the face?
Like,
how
what?
could you? How could you?
Like,
he's the
like,
sweet. He's
what a monster. Like that's
yeah,
pure
this
evil.
Movie opens
right
up with Rick Moranis getting punched in the face by a stranger. And then David Dunn, who is now a vigilante, active vigilante, breaks into their house and like beats the shit out of them.
Yeah, pretty cool opening scene for David Dunn because
I think it's pretty good.
You see
the
him doing the
scenes of
same
him like
thing,
turning the lights out and stuff.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this is my first gripe with the movie. The name you settled on was the Overseer.
I didn't hate that.
Oh, I don't love it. Giving me big plantation vibes there, M. Night. Why are you going to call the white guy the Overseer? I don't love that at all.
Oh, is there some like racial connotation?
I mean, yeah, that's like what they would call Anyway, but yeah, like the people on the fucking slave farms, they would call them overseers. But that sucks. And it also sucks because he had the perfect name, which is Security. Like, just call him Security. It's on his fucking jacket in the first movie. Like, that's a good superhero name, Security.
Sure.
It's better than the Overseer.
Well, I was just thinking he's overseeing the city.
He is.
Got it.
But it's just me, I don't know. That really rings.
Well, you really dampen that one for me.
Sorry about that, but this is a woke podcast.
right, of course.
So he's out doing his thing, and then we get glimpses of the Horde, and they've kidnapped another like 3 or 4 teenage girls,
4 cheerleaders.
I'm gonna say something maybe a little controversial here.
Oh boy.
Well, not controversial. I mean, I'm not gonna go that hard, but like, you might disagree with me. I think James McAvoy's kind of bad in this movie.
Oh yeah, big disagree.
Okay, yeah, I don't really. I think he's good in Split. I think the difference between him in Split and him in this is, like, in Split he's playing it as like quite frightening, and in this movie he's got to do all these emotional scenes with Casey, and you're like, wait, what? And it seems a lot more like a SNL audition than it did in the last movie.
Well, I will say that because, like, one of the things that made his, the Horde so awesome, and just Split in general good, is because it was unique. Anytime we're seeing the same thing again, and I think this is one of this movie's weakest parts, we've seen all this. We're not seeing anything new.
Yeah.
And the only thing, we see a couple new characters. I think there's a Southern guy thrown there.
He does some more characters, and like, he gets to go bigger, but it all feels. In Split, it felt frightening when the camera would turn around and he would be Patricia. In this, the camera spins around 800 times and he just keeps going like, "Oh, what's up, bro?" And then like, it'll spin around again and he'll be like, "Oh, mi padre, it's me." And like, he's got all these, he's doing like bits instead of, it doesn't feel like he's like lived in this character. It feels like a bunch of like funny little auditions that he's doing for like a fucking improv set.
Well, and like I said, I feel like it was more chilling and more terrifying the first time you see it. Like, that Patricia, the only one you have to be afraid of is the Beast.
I'm saying it is like, yes, I've already seen it, but it's also like in Split, he doesn't do all these really long takes where like the camera keeps spinning around and James McAvoy has to keep like coming up with a new persona every time. It's like, it's very subtle in Split. It'll do it like once or twice where you actually get to see the change, but it's not like this rapid thing where every time the light flashes, he's like got to be like some like wacky character that he's made up. It's way more gratuitous in this movie. It's weird. I don't know. I don't love him in this.
They do hit that over the head quite a bit.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good use of the light. Like, that was fun. Like,
it's fun. It's a fun filmmaking device for sure. And I think like the scenes themselves are good. I just think McAvoy's sort of silly in the movie.
But I'm all about
we can
that.
Agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah. I will be. Here's my thing. Like I said, because we've seen this before, like Unbreakable had this like style, and like it was so unique how he, like, everything was kind of like softer, and like
the movie's very sad.
Yeah, sad. Yeah, very sad. And also with James Newton Howard's score, like that movie's kind of, But with this, it's like, no, I mean, I've seen the scariest thing that the Horde is going to do. I've seen everything that Bruce or David Dunn is going to do. Like, I've seen all this, so that I think that kind of hurt the movie, like, to the point where, like, we can just jump to this. At the end of each episode, I always ask your favorite character. It took me a long time to think of a favorite character in this movie.
Oh no, it's easy for me. First name Mr., last name Glass.
Okay.
I think he rules. Yeah. I think he crushed in this movie.
No, like the half of the movie, he's catatonic. You don't even get. So it's like, sure, when you finally get to see him do his thing, that's fun and all, but no,
I think okay. So like, just moving along with the plot. So essentially, David Dunn finds him. He like runs into him on the streets, fucking gets his vision, and he goes and he has this big fight. The movie opens essentially with a huge showdown between the Beast and David Dunn.
I was pretty hype on this.
Like, the movie just starts with like what you would assume the movie's climax would be.
So might as well just knock it out. What's the power difference? Like, I know David Dunn has super strength and durability. Doesn't the Horde also have super strength, durability,
it's a little vague,
agility?
Yeah. It's a little vague. I never thought of David Dunn having super strength. I just always thought of him as he can't be hurt. Because he doesn't.
Well,
Well, I guess no.
no.
He's got
He's
the
lifting
do
the
weights.
weights.
You're
Yeah,
right.
no.
You're right. You're right. Yeah,
Super strength and durability. I think
they're
yeah,
basically the
no,
same.
they're basically the same.
But the beast can like crawl on walls, and he's like an animal.
So that's like agility and what
It's just the difference between like fighting Superman and fighting Animal Man.
well, I don't know who Animal Man is. I'm
Oh.
picturing two bars. Well, and also David Dunn has the ability to see the crimes of people too.
He also
But-
has the ability to drown in a puddle.
That's his weakness, yes. Which I didn't that wasn't a bad little gimmick there. How she each cell was kind of rigged with each
Yeah.
of their weaknesses.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't mind the light. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And it also plays on splits. Like they always be like, oh, Barry, take the light, Hedwig, take the light. And then in this movie, they use a literal light to shift personalities.
Right.
I was kind of underwhelmed by this opening fight.
It is a little underwhelming, which I think is sort of the word that this movie uses as a weapon. Like this movie takes underwhelming and is like, yes, the whole movie is going to be underwhelming. Just buckle in. Because it all is really underwhelming. Like the movie doesn't end with some epic CGI fight over the skyline of Philadelphia at all. Like it doesn't ever go close to there, which is great. I think it makes the movie a little bit more interesting. But this first fight is like a lot. I mean, it's the exact same way that David Dunn fights in Unbreakable, where he just like grabs a guy really hard and just like runs into walls. That's it. That's his move.
That is his move.
It's his whole technique.
M. Night called this movie the most grounded superhero movie ever.
He said that about this movie.
Yes,
he's interesting.
He likes to toot his own horn. We know
he really likes his
after
himself,
calling The Happening the greatest B movie. We've spotted a trend with this guy.
Yes, he really likes his movies.
That's fine.
That's fine. I like most of them.
Yeah, do you, man? But
the most grounded superhero movie, I guess. I don't know. Sure, M. Night. I'll give it to you. Whatever.
I'm not giving it to him.
No.
I refuse.
What is the most grounded superhero movie ever made? Daredevil, starring Ben Affleck.
Oh God. No, I don't know. Whenever we think of superhero movies, we talked about this before, but I think the greatest origin story and like the most like kind of Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, how it's kind of realistic in the sense that he makes his own parts.
There was also like mystical ninjas in that movie,
right? And a hallucinogenic agent.
Yeah,
but I mean, there's hallucinogenic agents in real life too. There isn't beasts crawling on ceilings.
I think maybe what M. Night is saying, and I'm not going to speak for the man, but maybe what he's saying is like, no, if there were superheroes, this is what would happen. Which I don't know. Maybe he's right.
Oh, you're alluding to the third act.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get
the
to
second
that.
and third act actually, but yeah.
So, fight ensues. David kind of takes kind of the weak route and
runs out
pushes
of the window.
them both. Yeah, kind of goes both down the window.
He's got one move, Brent. That's all he can do.
I'm realizing
he's not a trained fighter. He's just like, I will grab you with my arms and we will run into walls.
Well, he used my finisher in Unbreakable, the behind. The
sleeper hold.
Yeah, sleeper hold. Yep.
Yeah.
So I thought he could bust that out again, but
no.
Either way,
but to be fair,
I do
Beast
like
also only has one move, which is I'm going to grab you and squeeze you as hard as I can.
Sure.
That's
they're pretty basic when it comes to their primary attacks.
They both have a different version of the bear hug as their finisher. M. Night hasn't watched enough wrestling.
No, it's grounded. This is real
yes,
fighting.
Of course. Yes.
I do like the shot. They both go out the window and they both stand up and kind of had the showdown, and it teases it's about to start up again.
Yep.
And then earlier in the movie, you get a warning from what?
Then the light happens.
Yeah, the light happens, and that's the first time you see the power of the light to shift them back and forth. And cops are surrounding him. I do like that David goes to turn. I just like how this character, Ellie Stabler, whatever that Sarah Paulson plays, instantly hits both their buttons.
Yes.
She tells David, you probably might leave, but a lot of innocent people are going to, playing on the fact that he's a good guy, because David Dunn is a good guy. He is a hero. That's not, I don't like how this movie tries to not convince the audience, but try to convince David.
I like it. I like how it does this.
Oh,
I like all this.
So they're both taken to Ravencroft,
Raven Hill, Ravenland.
Sure.
Generic psychiatric hospital name that you would see in a comic book.
Yeah, you pulled two names out of a hat, and there's your Raven Lounge.
Right, sure. It's like, yeah. So they're both taken to this psychiatric hospital. They're thrown in rooms that are specifically rigged up to like keep them out. So yeah, David's room has a bunch of like super high pressured water things that'll fill up his room with water if he tries to hurt anyone or whatever. And then Kevin's room has the light.
Yep. Even though David has done nothing in past 15 years but help innocent bystanders and
that's
prevent
not
crime.
This movie is not about the government trying to take out vigilantes. This movie is about a secret society trying to suppress superhumans so that they could be in power, which is, I don't know, it's a weird turn, but I kind of like it. But Brent shaking his head in disappointment. This is a weird part of the movie where it's like, okay, they're in the hospital. Now we have to like catch back up with Casey and Spencer Treat Clark. And they're all decent in the movie, but God, I do not give a fuck about what any of them are doing. Every time.
Not a thing.
I do not give a fuck.
These side characters are boring. Exposition. They're boring. They don't have anything to do, but just...
Why would Casey go and talk to him? What? He abducted her.
An unspoken bond.
No, get out of here with that.
Stockholm syndrome.
Horribly traumatized from that event.
She fell in love with him. Stockholm syndrome.
I think that's the weird thing that this movie tries to convince you that like she has feelings for him or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know. All three of the main characters, despite, it's freaking Anya Taylor-Joy, and it's just like,
don't care.
Sucks.
Skip. Yeah. Next scene. Yeah. And that's honestly about as much energy as I want to waste on them because they don't even have scenes that are like important to the plot ever. They never have a scene where I'm like, this matters. This is exciting. The only thing is you get Anya Taylor-Joy when she touches Kevin, it like rattles him because he's never had like emotionally like physical like contact before. So like her hugging him. Again, don't give a shit. Like, yeah.
Like I didn't hate because I was, I get it with the Horde and Mr. Glass. Like they're villains. These are villainous people.
Yeah.
But David Dunn being locked up, I kind of enjoyed where his son went through this whole production. Like he's rehearsing it in the van and all that. And it's just like none of it did anything.
No.
That wasn't too bad. Just like, I got to get him out of here. And what can I say? And he tried to make excuses. And this is where she justifies it by saying he did hurt people. He didn't kill anyone.
No,
and he hurt trash.
It's the Batman. It's like the Batman argument where it's like he's a vigilante. He shouldn't be taking the law into his own hands. That's what they're going for. Like they're not saying he's like a villain. They're just saying like legally you can't do these things. That's the angle that Paulson is trying to play.
Yeah, not an effective angle. This guy's I understand it. I just don't. There's bigger fish to fry. When there's a gazillion legit crimes out there happening, you're going to put the spotlight on the one guy that's kind of actually helping.
Yes, because that's not actually her goal. Her goal is not to actually say that like she says later in the movie, she doesn't take sides. So it's like this is all on a front. This is all fake for her. All this stuff up front.
Yeah, when she says that later in the movie, I hated it then too. Because at one point she says, "We're not evil. We're not executioners. You 100% are evil because you just killed a good guy."
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
No, she is evil. They are all evil.
Except for David. David is a hero.
Of course David's a hero. Of course I'm not disagreeing with that. He's the best.
Progress the plot because...
Yes. Okay, so they're all in this psych ward, right? And essentially for the next, 40 minutes, it's a long time. This movie spends a lot of time with people just like sitting in a psychiatric hospital talking to each other.
Yeah, big chunk of the movie. There's kind of a funny part of, Elijah Price, Mr. Glass, is he's kind of doing his own things that he, just kind of skip ahead, but he's
playing as like a almost lobotomized catatonic. Doesn't speak, he just sort of winces and flinches, and that's it.
Yep, kind of more harkening back to One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest, because that shook me when Jack Nicholson or Randall McMurphy was lobotomized. So every time I see anything with lobotomy, I'm like, not good.
Yeah.
But he's playing the long game. He has this kind of a sneaky plan.
Of course.
I do like the first. you don't see his face for the first couple times,
They keep him in
and
shadows. Yeah.
then when I do like that kind of like building him up. I mean, his name is the title, so I was just expecting him to be like going off here,
Yeah.
and it was, he kind of wasn't. When his plan kind of starts come to fruition, he goes and sees the horde. Is that his first move? Well, first thing he does is he researches.
Way before all of this shit, I think the great scene of all three of them meeting with the doctor, where they're all sitting next to each other.
Yeah, this is the poster shot.
This is the poster shot, and this is the scene where essentially this is why I like this movie. I'll break it down for you. This is the scene why I like this movie. Is this movie tries to spend its entire middle act convincing all of the main characters and the audience that everything that happened in the last two movies was like a total misunderstanding, and like none of it's real. It's all of these characters' heads. And the movie tries, like, it's not like the movie presents that and is like, oh, isn't it interesting? The movie is like, no, listen, none of that shit happened, and you need to like come to accept that these people are all actually mentally like insane. I love it. I love that this movie's like, fuck you. They go so far as to explain like beat by beat. Okay, you were able to pull the bars apart because those bars are like 100 years old and they were rusty and wet, and you didn't take damage from the shotgun because the cartridges were all damp and most of the bullets hit the inside of the bars, and all this other shit where they're like going in depth to describe how everything is in the other characters' heads.
I did like that. Well, the scene is great in general because you get to see all the main players kind of interacting. David is listening to this and he's kind of buying it. Some of the horde, different characters, are starting to buy into it.
Yeah.
But Elijah Price is just sitting over there kind of tonic, just like, he's not for a second.
No.
And that's because we kind of hit this button already once in Unbreakable,
Well, of course, yeah.
So it's just a lot of this is just repeating the same thing.
I guess so, but Unbreakable, it's almost backwards in Unbreakable, where like the character already thinks it's fake and one of the other characters has to convince him that it's real. And this is like a reverse where all the characters are bought in, and now one of the characters is saying, no, none of that fucking happened. You guys are all insane. It's all in your head. It's a delusion.
We don't get that flashback of the Bruce Willis lookalike in this movie.
No, we do not. But we do get like flashbacks of deleted scenes from Unbreakable, which are really like elegantly stitched into the movie, which is cool.
Yes.
Love that.
There one in particular that comes later on, but that's cool. And I think the same James Matt or the Horde's parents, Kevin Wendell Crumb's parents, they come back for this movie also as like
they get like
the
a little
abusers.
There's that really graphic scene of Elijah in like the tilt-a-whirl.
Yeah, that was that scene
bums me the fuck out.
Well, it's coming up, but that's my fourth note was the roller coaster, Mr. Glass's roller coaster, not tilt-a-swirl or whatever, but brutal. Just anytime this character is just hurt and you know it's coming,
it's such a like brutal version of the first movie where it's like, okay, Mr. Glass is running down a street and there are stairs. Oh no, this is going to end bad. This one, he puts him in a tilt-a-whirl and you're like, he's going to come out just as like a flesh bag. He's going to have nothing left.
Well, I think with Unbreakable, you're like, oh, this is going to be bad right from the get-go.
Yes.
M. Night messes with the viewer's head a little bit because you see Elijah,
like the big stuffing. Yes.
Yeah, he tries to protect himself. Big teddy bears on both sides to cushion the damage. Something against the front bar.
He puts the sweater on the front. Yeah.
And then there's a really effective shot where, like, as he's riding, all of a sudden the camera pans down and both the bears are by his feet. And you're like, oh.
And then he just slams into the fucking side and breaks his shoulder. You're like, oh, good. Here we go.
Well, and then you see his sweater coming undone on the front bar, too. So it's like, oh, this is all bad. Now he's in a death cage.
Yeah, he gets annihilated.
And meanwhile, his mom is just, like, crying and pleading. Yeah. Very effective scene. Great all around. Brutal, savage.
Don't really know what it has to do with the movie at all, but it is fucking insane.
It's just to double down on what made Unbreakable so nasty. Again, he's just hitting the same buttons, but
no, I just like that the entire middle act of this movie is him trying to unravel the past two movies, and he's really trying hard to convince the audience, like, no, like it's all bullshit. And of course, the third act is another reversal where he like sets it all back into place, but I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's a really interesting idea for a big superhero movie.
I just felt like we've been there. Like
we have not. No, we have not. We have not been there.
As a viewer,
if I went to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and it was about Tilda Swinton being like, actually, magic's not real, you're insane, I'd be like, yeah, this is cool. This is, whoa, none of these movies have ever done this. This is great.
Well, I mean, you're not going to see the movie anyway, so.
No. Well, I might because it's directed by a real human being, but.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's just, like I said, we kind of, I've been convinced that it wasn't real before. Like, how many times then did Bruce Willis say it's not real, to his son as a,
So you're coming at it from an angle where you're like, just you've done this already.
For most of everything. Like I've seen.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think the way that I'm looking at it is like it's a reversal. It's not him doing the same thing. It's him doing the opposite thing and like trying to extend that not just to his characters but out to the actual audience. Which I don't know. I found that very fascinating. I don't know if it's always super successful, but at the very least, I'm like, it's a weird movie. If
I didn't see Bruce Willis lift 600 pounds, if I didn't see McAvoy's take a shotgun blast,
but she puts forth all these arguments for why you saw those things and why like the characters themselves thought they were real. I like that. It's all interesting.
Yeah, just
of course, it's all a ruse. So you find out that the characters are all actual superheroes, but.
Maybe that's why I didn't really care for the whole ruse itself, because I was like, no, this would never fool me. Like I've been beat as David Dunn. I've been seeing the examples of my strength and durability for the last 15 years.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm not buying it, lady. And he's the one that buys it the most. And I'm like, no.
Well, because I think, I don't know. Maybe that's a weird thing because obviously the Horde's not going to buy into it because it's like 23 different people and they've all got to like
different mindset on it.
Yeah, exactly. But like, David Dunn, he would, I guess, coming out of Unbreakable, he would be very susceptible to this, but because it's 15 years after Unbreakable.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And sure. I feel like they nerfed David here. That's why I'm just going to come out and say it. They nerfed David Dunn. Yeah, they nerfed his mindset. They nerfed his personality. It's not the David Dunn from Unbreakable.
Ooh, I disagree. I think he's very good in this movie. I think he's
shades of it.
I think he's just as well. Of course, yeah. He's not. Listen, I would have given fucking Bruce Willis an Oscar for Unbreakable. And I'm not saying the same thing. It makes me want to
go back and watch that. Like honestly, that movie's great.
Yeah, and like the final act of this movie is what you would sort of expect. They've been leading you to believe that they're going to have this big epic fight over this new tower in the Philadelphia skyline. And like they're leading you towards that, and then it ends up just being this incredibly underwhelming like tussle in a fucking courtyard, and it's really small, it's really minimal.
Yeah, I was victim of the superhero time at the time because I was expecting a lot like grandeur, like a lot of.
You're expecting the Chitauri to come through a wormhole,
and, like not that extreme, but yes, like something like that. Epic.
I'm glad that they didn't. Like
Yeah, this is a little like this. Maybe this is what he's talking about with the grounded, because
whether you like this movie or not, this movie would not make any fucking sense if they had a gigantic battle over the Philadelphia skyline. Like it just makes sense that they have this like pathetic little like, duel that ends with all of them getting immediately murdered.
And I still got the superhero hypeness before we even get to that, but yeah, when you see them square off and you see David pop up like he normally does, and he's just standing there, and it's like, oh, this is going to be epic. Yeah, and then I think the trailer has McAvoy running across the lawn, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is going to be epic. And it was all right. It's
not epic at all. I don't think it's epic at all. It's just like, it's like I said, it's almost pathetic. Like,
well, they're just doing they're spamming the same bud. That's all they keep doing. So, David does his shove.
Yep. I'm sure the Beast tries to squeeze him at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, but the Horde does the walk up.
But they go into the water. This is the way that it. I mean, I guess we didn't really talk about what Elijah's been doing, but like,
that's the thing. He's been plotting and planning throughout this whole chunk. They've been seeing him escape his room. The first time you really hear him talk is the kind of a funny thing. M. Night every once in a while throws in some funny stuff. Oh, we didn't talk about that stupid subplot.
What?
M. Night's character Jai from
he comes full circle.
There's a 3 movie arc For Jai, M. Night's character Jai.
So of course, Jai, the character from Unbreakable, who is being
Drug
a bit
dealer.
shady. Yeah, maybe as a drug dealer at the stadium that David worked at. Oh, he's shady. Okay, that's the end of his story there. Oh no, wait, he comes back. He's working as this like a security monitor in Split. Oh, he's like the apartment. I don't what is. Okay,
I think he's
a
a security
nice man.
guard for like the apartments or something, or was
Something
it
like
the
that.
zoo?
That's okay, cool, good for him. And then at the end, he very clunkily in glass is like, "Hey, did you used to work in Unbreakable, that movie? That's where I met you. Well, now I don't talk to those bad people anymore. I've come full circle, and I'm a fully realized character now."
M. Night, we don't need this.
We don't need it. It is bad.
I'm just going to come out and say, we don't need this, M. Night. You can leave this whole thing at home. I know you want to be in your movies, but you don't have to hit us over the head with it.
It's a bit much in this movie. It's kind of silly.
Just stop. Jeez. Okay. So yeah, M. Night, or no, not M. Night. Elijah Price. He's his first time he's talking to Horde. He's telling me he wants to believe it. Can the Beast? Can I talk to the Beast tomorrow night?
Right.
During this, one of the security guards is walking in, and he takes his time, and you get a little funny part. He's like,
I love this. Love this guy.
How much water are you drinking? You guys, not enough.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I chuckled at that. That's decent comedic writing. He throws one or two of those in almost every movie I've noticed at this point. So
so Elijah's just been like sneaking out of his room, and you don't really know what he's up to. But basically, he has been recording everything that's been happening and like streaming it to a private site and all this stuff that you find out at the end of the movie. And like Mr. Glass was always that one step ahead of the game because he's fucking Mr. Glass.
Yeah, the first time you see him escaping and he's online, and he's basically doing research on the Horde and the Overseer. I think this is when you see him sit back in his chair like,
he's like, oh yeah.
I think this is when he starts formulating his plan, his master plan.
Well, I think that was him realizing that he also created the Horde.
Right.
That was him seeing his, that I also killed this guy's dad, and I created the Horde too. I created two superheroes with that train wreck. Going
full circle, you find East Rail Train 117,
I don't know,
177, whatever. That's the main thing that ties all three of these movies together, because, like you said, Elijah Price caused that train crash that exposed David Dunn for being unbreakable and for killing Kevin Wendell Crumb's father, which made him spend a lifetime with his abusive mother, which then created the Horde. So Elijah Price is responsible for everything. I was curious, they don't touch on Mr. Glass's parents, because there's kind of a theme.
Well, the mom's there the whole time.
I know, but what did she like?
She bought him comic books. I don't know. She fucking she encouraged him to become a psychotic comic book lord.
Okay. I'll take that.
Okay, cool. I'm glad I can do that for you, bud.
Thank you.
The Beast and
she did buy him comics.
Yeah, the Beast and David Dunn get into a big fight. He throws them into a big tub of water, and then they break through the tub of water, and basically this secret organization shows
Hated
up.
That, by the way.
That they went into the water?
No, I like that. I like that the Horde threw David into the tank of water, and I like the camera showing the Horde jumping into the water tank. That's all cool. David Dunn breaking the water tank. He's not.
He's super strong.
He's super out of strong. The water.
He can't break a little plastic tub.
He's not supposed to be able to do any of that in the water, and it's not. You're underestimating plastic. I'm
underestimating. He literally bent steel bars with his bare hands, and I'm underestimating plastic.
I get that.
Podcast is over, folks.
Steel doesn't have any give.
He can't melt plastic tubs.
No, I just think that he's in his weakness. He shouldn't be able to do that.
I get that. Yeah.
And the tub has give to it. I'm not seeing
I
that
get that.
crack
glass.
Sure. I will say during this at one point when the Horde finds out that Mr. Glass, who ends up telling him? Joseph Dunn? Yeah. David Dunn,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He ends up telling him, and the Horde turns on Mr. Glass, and when he attacks, you get that glass
Brutal.
breaking sound. Love that. That
Oh,
was
the
sweet.
way he grabs Mr. Glass by the shoulder and just pushes his shoulder into his chest. You're like, oh my God, he just like annihilated him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Not great.
I also really enjoyed the right before this, which kind of encourages David to snap back to reality and break down the door, steel door.
Yeah.
The challenge, Mr. Glass's challenge over the intercom.
Yep.
Love that. That was awesome.
That's good.
Just an epic buildup.
Yeah. And then Casey like grabs the beast, and like as soon as he turns into Kevin and is no longer the beast, some sniper shoots him in the gut and kills him.
Yep.
I kind of like that.
Yep.
That she like powered him down enough.
Yep.
Another secret agent comes and drowns David in a puddle. Just grabs him and drowns him in a little puddle.
Yeah, this messed me up.
I loved this.
This messed me up.
That he died.
This is the freaking hero, and he's getting killed by some nameless security guard.
Thrown into a puddle.
I don't hate the use of like them using the weakness. Why are you killing the hero? So
because
there's technically 3 villains then with one giant one.
Yes.
But at the end, like because Elijah Price like sends out the message or the video footage, like he's not a hero, but it just gets very muddy on who to root for.
Oh,
except for David Dunn. So. You should always root for David Dunn.
You root for David Dunn. I think you can kind of root for Mr. Glass too, because like of what he does at the end where he outs this secret organization.
Ooh, so you forgive Mr. Glass for all his mass murders?
Yes.
No.
Yep, I've forgiven my son. That's as easy. He gets into heaven. He goes to confession once with James, and he gets right into heaven.
4 Hail Marys, and now you're good to go.
You're good to go,
despite killing 4,000 people or however.
Yeah, so they all die. All 3 of the like main superheroes die in this scene, and you are. It's revealed that there's this secret organization who has existed for 10,000 years, and every time a superhero or supervillain shows up, they show up to kill them because they're too dangerous for like mortals to live with. I kind of like all this. This is interesting.
You know it's not terrible, but I don't like that it should just be like as he's drowning, just this big exposition dump.
Absolutely. There must have been a more elegant way to do that, but
you don't
it is
have
M.
to
Night, so
smack me over the head with that. Have
Sarah
Paulson telling a dead man their master plan. Like,
yes,
stop.
Well, here's the thing. I think I agree with you, but here's the thing: is I had that reaction to a lot of things in this movie where I'm like, why would you even say that? That's not like every time the light flashes and James McAvoy's immediate reaction is to say the name of his current character. That doesn't like the light will flash and he'll be like, "What? I'm Ian. Just so you know, audience, that's my character's name now." Like it felt very like heavy-handed. It does that a lot in this movie, but every time it did it, I had to remind myself, this is a comic book movie. If I was reading a comic book, the panels would look exactly like they do in this movie. The characters would be saying the exact same things. The exposition dump would happen the exact same way in a comic book. It's the exact language of a comic book.
Maybe it's because they wanted to get one more time with Bruce Willis's power of seeing into the past or whatever. But I just feel like you didn't like as he's dying for her to be like, take my hand so you can get this exposition. Like, no, it's
very
sloppy.
sloppy.
Sloppy, clunky. Did not enjoy that or appreciate it. One like you could that scene was effective, but it doesn't have to be used by his power. Like, just put it somewhere else.
Yeah,
you know,
you could just show us, right?
Show me. Don't tell me.
But yeah, the movie ends with Mr. Glass live streaming all of the footage, proving that superheroes are real.
Yeah, but even before Mr. Glass dies, like Sarah Paulson's character gives a second kind of mini exposition dump to Mr. Glass, and it's like, stop. I don't need.
But what would have been
just
good
killed David. I'm already shook.
You know what would have been good though is if she did like 3 more exposition dumps. It would have gotten funny.
Oh,
it would have gotten funnier and funnier if she kept turning to a new character and was like, "Did I convince you that?" Like every character she just turns around and starts.
Oh my god!
dumping
I was
more
so
random
annoyed.
information.
It just made me so annoyed at her.
Yeah. So that's basically the end of the movie. Is the 3 surviving characters all sit and hold hands in a subway station, and now the world knows that superheroes are real, and that's like an interesting premise. You know, the Mr. Glass's final like words saying that this is not a limited edition. This was all an origin story the whole time. Like, okay, cool, sure.
I'll take that.
I'm gonna say now that we're done talking about Glass, I like this movie more than Split.
No, I think there's more effective things, and like you brought up the scary aspects, like this.
Yeah, but I think Split doesn't really. I don't know. I like this movie. It's not perfect by any means. It's very messy and like a lot of it doesn't really work. But I don't know. It's doing some weird shit that like other comic booky superhero movies would never even get close to doing.
No, I mean it literally like made me feel sick to my stomach when I saw them drowning David, a guy who has devoted his whole life to being a hero.
Well, now his legacy will live on because all the other superheroes will know that he was real or something like that.
He'll encourage the good side. Is that where you're going with?
Yeah. This is supposed to inspire a whole new generation of people to step forward.
Well, we're never going to get anything else. M. Night said he hates cinematic universes, and that's fine. I don't need anything else. I
don't want anything else.
No, I don't. I kind of didn't want this.
I kind of agree. As much as I like this movie, it is inherently a little bit of like okay, sure.
It really shook me. You don't see the hero dying, especially to the villain.
Stop being a baby. Let's kill more heroes. Let's do it.
No, we need heroes. This is the time we need them, not for them to die.
What do you rate the movie?
Solid 3.
Same here. I gave it 3 stars.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty good.
I thought my favorite character. I one of my notes here. You know, this is kind of crazy that you brought up earlier. I thought McAvoy was even better in Split because he was doing more characters.
Yeah, I don't think more characters means you're better.
No, but I thought he was.
It just felt silly in this movie where it's never scary in this movie. He's never scary.
No, I wasn't going to be scared after I knew the only one that's scary is the Beast, you know?
And he's not, you might even say he's the silliest. He's the one who's like, we are the unbroken or whatever his bullshit is.
The Beast is doing more talking here.
He's so silly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scenes of James McAvoy bulging his neck out and being like there's a lot of scenes of that. Like every time he switches between characters, he does that.
I really like the first one where he goes down into the bum zone.
That's weird. Yeah,
that was kind of cool. And
but then he gives another fucking weird ass like prophet speech where they're like, "Who the hell are you, man?" He's like, "I am one of you."
Yeah. No, I didn't. Maybe because I knew what to expect coming from the Beast. I was like, all right. But I just thought he's having a lot of fun acting. But again, it was really tough for me to find my favorite character here. So I just I settled with the Horde again because it's just so unique of an experience seeing
Mr. Glass.
Yeah.
First name Mr. Last name Glass.
So you gave it a 3. I'm going to start taking notes here. And you said Mr. Glass. Yeah. All right. We kind of got rid of this segment, but is there anything coming up in the future?
Oh, that I'm like looking for. I mean,
yeah.
Does it count? Am I allowed to say licorice pizza?
Absolutely.
Because that'll be the next episode you and I record will be the licorice pizza episode.
This is your favorite director. I think you should be.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for licorice pizza, folks.
Like you've got to be on cloud 9.
Of course I am. I'm so excited every time he makes a movie. But yeah,
it looks good too.
And I gotta say, there is something extremely. Like I feel like I'm going to be crying just at the sight of Cooper Hoffman because like having Paul Thomas Anderson use his muse's son in a movie is going to be very emotional, I think.
And it's kind of like a high school romantic.
Yeah, it's about like a child star.
It just looks so
Paul. It looks very PTA. Yeah.
I'm just
very
like
excited.
I'm in. Like big stamp of approval. Like you really built him up as a director when we went through and like just seeing his whole body of work. I'm like, this guy doesn't know wrong. He's a master class.
He's a master of his craft.
I'm very excited, especially
How about
for
you?
his style.
We got really quick.
The franchise that got me into that it's one of the most defining movie franchises of my youth, and I'm still slappy. It's the new Scream.
I really thought you were going to say The Matrix because like that's the obvious thing, and I'm like, oh right, Scream.
No, I'm a big
like defining genre bending. And then I'm like, oh for sure, Scream.
Oh no, Scream 1 changed me. You know, it made me. everything about it. But yeah, seeing the trailer in the movies, and you see Ghostface, and he's like, "It's an honor," and I'm just like, oh, just going
really,
nuts.
you're excited for it.
Oh, I cannot. And I know it's not Wes Craven because, R.I.P. But I am just so these are like, it's like seeing my best friends again.
Sure. Okay, good for you.
And I am so pumped. I've seen the trailer like 3 or 4 or 5 times now. Anytime I go see the movies, I feel like I see it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Dewey, Gail Weathers, Sidney fucking Prescott. Like, let's go. Like, oh man, I'm pumped.
Great.
So, yep.
All right. Well, I think that'll round it out for us, right?
Yeah. Oh, one last thing.
Yes.
We talked when we started this podcast, we pointed out directors before we go see a movie, they come out and say, "Oh, thanks for coming to the movie theater." I have not. He did it for Old.
Yes, that's right. That's why we talked about it.
But I've
no one's done it since.
I've seen a gazillion movies at the theater since, and the only 2 that I've seen were the first 2. It was John Krasinski and M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh no, I wonder who is that really it?
That's it. No one does it. It is.
Oh, you know what? I think Lin-Manuel Miranda and the gang for Encanto did it for Encanto.
Of course they would.
Classic John Leguizamo showed up, so that was
very
cool.
Yep, classy.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm thanked,
but not the directors of Encanto.
Interesting,
because they're just Disney shills. But whatever. Anyways,
right.
Thanks for listening, everyone. You can find us on Instagram at Film School Dropouts Pod, and on Twitter at film_school_pod. We're also on Facebook. Like us, follow us, review us, and stuff. And our next episode will be Old, which we've already recorded. And then after Old, we're going to do a intermediate little catch up with PTA, doing a Licorice Pizza episode. And then we'll dive into our next director, which we will announce at the end of our Old episode. Sure.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well,
Sounds
thanks
good.
for listening.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you.